Okay. So what is a data object? So data objects are used to store data in a program runtime. Okay. When the program is execution, like when the program is in execution, so if you want to store some data during the program runtime, so by using data objects, we can store that data, right? To use the data object, what is the prerequisite? We need to define that data object first. Then only we can use the data object. Define in the sense, what do you mean by defining? Specifying the type of the data and the length. Okay, that's what we're calling as defining a data object. What is the statement to define a data object? Data. Data statement is used to define the data objects and data object name, type, that corresponding data type. That corresponding data type. Now we'll go back to data types. If you take one data object, for example, name, there is a data object called employee name. So what type of data it is? What type of data we are going to store in employee name? That is
Character.
character type data. What is character type data? Observe here in this table.
C.
What is character type data? The technical
C.
name we use like for character type is C, right?
C.
And what is the default length? Default length is 1. If you
1.
don't provide any length, it will accept one character. Okay. And this is the example data what we can store inside the character data type. It can accept alphabets, numbers, and any special
Special
characters.
characters.
Example for character data type is, for example, in a
Address.
database table, there is a field called employee name. What is the type of the data? That is character. And city. City is also a character type. Address. Address is also a character type, right? And next type. What is the next data type we can use? Number type. Data type name is n. When we use number type, when we need to
Phone
define a
number.
data object which can accept only numbers, which can accept only numbers. At that time, what is the type of data? What is the data type we use?
Number.
Number type. The name of the data type is type n.
Type.
Type n. So it can accept only numbers. It cannot accept any characters or special
Numbers.
characters.
Alphabets.
Even if you pass any characters or special characters, it will ignore all of them and take only numbers. What is the default length of the number type? 1. It can accept one number if you don't provide any length, right? So the example for number type is,
Phone
for example, phone
contact.
numbers. Phone number is the number type. Pin code. Pin code is also a number type, right? So these kind of values, for these kind of values to create the data objects, we use number type. Observe the next data type, D.
Date.
What is D? D for date. To create data objects or to create database fields for date, to store the date. What is the type we need to use?
Date.
Date, D, right? Now,
Yes.
date, you don't need to provide any length. You don't need to provide any length for date. Okay. What is the default length for date?
8.
8. What is 8? This one. Internal date format, internal SAP date format. This is universal. In every SAP system, in every SAP product, what is the internal date format they use? This one. Year, month, date. YYYY,
D.
This is the SAP's internal date format. When you want to pass date inside the program, in which format you need to pass? In this internal date
Staff.
format. In this internal date format, YYYYMMDD. When you are displaying the output, what is the length?
10.
Output length should be 10
10.
because it
10.
contains separators. It contains separators. Separators are depends on the user settings. Okay, some users might use dot as separator. Some users might use slash as separator. Some users might use hyphens. It depends on the user settings. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And also this format, date format. In USA, they use a month,
Always.
day,
Date.
and year.
Yes.
In India, we use day, month, year
Monthly.
as
Yeah.
our date format. This also depends on the user settings. Okay, but the internal date format is same, always same. It won't change. And go to time. What is time? Time is used to store time values in data objects or in database tables. Type is T. What is the internal time format? This one, hours,
Six.
minutes, seconds, without any separator. The length is 6. You don't need to provide any length. Okay, length will be automatically assigned. What is the output length? Output length
Eight.
is 8 characters, including separator. Separator between hours, minutes, and seconds. What is string? String is used to store variable length. For example, if you know the exact length, what is the maximum length allowed? If you want to restrict the maximum length allowed, at the time, what is the data type we use? Character data type.
String.
Character data type. If you
Okay.
know the exact length, right? If you know the exact length, or if you want to restrict a specific value for a specific length, for example, name, you want to restrict name for 40 characters. At the time, you can take character type. In some cases, we don't know what is the exact length of the data. How many characters that the user is going to enter, we are not sure.
Yes, sir.
At the time, which type we use? String type.
String type.
Because we are not certain about the maximum length allowed. Okay. At the time, we use string type. String is also similar to character. It can accept any alphabet, numbers, and including special characters. Okay. But for
Sure.
example, long text, comments, long text, for that kind of data, we use string types. Okay. For employee ID, employee name, city, these kind of values, we use a character type because we can define the length, right? For
Yes,
example,
sir.
employee ID, maximum length of employee ID, I can define it to 10 characters. For example, EMP 100. Maximum length of the employee name, I can define it to 40 characters. At the time, I'll go for character type. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next, integer. Integer is also a numeric type, right? But we have number type, right? What is the difference between number type and integer?
In integer, we use positive or negative values.
Integer can display positive or negative values. Okay, it will handle positive values or negative values. That means plus value, minus value. Also, integer will round the values. Integer will round the values. It will apply seal or floor for the values. Okay, there is any decimal place, it won't accept the decimal places. Instead of accepting the decimal place, it will round the value to upper limit or lower limit. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you pass 2.4 as a value to integer type data object, how it's going to take that value?
Two.
2. If you take 2, if you pass 2.6 to the
Three.
integer type data object, it will make
Three.
it 3. Okay, it will round the value. Okay,
Okay, sir.
that is the difference between number type and integer type. Integer type we can take it for counts. Okay, to count something as a counter value, we can take a integer type. Okay,
Number of records.
yes, number of records or total number of population, like that. Okay.
Employees.
Floating point is like it's for some what we call scientific calculations we use floating point type. And the other important type is packed decimal. Packed decimal, we use packed decimal to handle price, quantity. For example, price of the material or quantity of the material, we use a packed decimal. Packed decimal will accept decimals, including decimals. Okay. So we need to define the number of decimal places. When we are defining packed decimal data object, we need to define number of data or number of decimals it is accepting. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
So we use all these data types to define the data objects, to define the data objects so that it will define what type of data it is. Okay. So what is the statement to define a data object? What is the syntax we use to define a data object?
Data,
Data,
data, data.
data type, data type and length. Okay,
Mm.
now go back
Yes.
to the data objects. So what is a data object?
It's a temporary memory to store the data in the runtime.
Yes.
Data store.
Okay, it is used to store data at the program runtime. Data objects are active only during the program runtime.
Program runtime.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
these are active only during the program
Program
runtime. Once the
runtime.
program execution is completed, data
They
objects will be
automatically
deleted.
delete.
Okay, so what is the prerequisite? Data object should be defined. Relevant data type and length. So data object should be defined using relevant data type and length. What is the syntax to define a data object? For example, data lv underscore variable type and the data type. For example, C
Type is length.
length 10. Okay. Whatever I am typing here in the capital letters, right? They are syntax. You should use as it is.
Length also, no, sir?
Length is also syntax.
Okay.
Okay. Length is also syntax. Okay.
Basic syntax ఒకసారి రాయండి.
Yes. To define a data object. Okay. So this is the syntax to define a data object. So it will define a data object lv underscore variable lv underscore var and that data object type is character length 10. Okay, clear? Now what are the different types of data objects? We'll see one by one. Variable is one type of data object. What is variable? Variable is a single value. Okay, so variable can store a single value during the program runtime. We can change the variable value or clear the variable value. So we can change the variable value or we can clear the variable value program runtime. Okay. So what is the example for variable? For example, you can store employee ID EMP 100. That is one value. One value, right? Now we have another data object, that is constant. So what is a constant? Constant is also one of the data object. Like it can store a single value similar to
Variable.
like this. For example, empid as a constant, emp 100 as a constant. So how it is different from variable? So the value, whatever the value you assign to the variable can be changed during the program runtime. First you can assign employee ID 100 to this data object, and later you can change it to employee ID 110. Later you can change it to one employee ID 120, and you can pass the new value whenever required, right? And you can clear the value. You can remove the value from that variable. But what about constant? Once you assigned the value to the constant, okay, you cannot change it. You have to use same value throughout the program. You cannot change it, okay, and you cannot clear the value of the constant. Clear?
Okay, sir. Clear, sir.
And so the syntax to define a variable is this: data lv underscore empid type type c length, for example 10, okay, or the alternative statement is data lv underscore empid type c. How can you pass the length? How can you define the length? Like this. Within the brackets, you can pass the length. Okay. You don't need to use length. Okay. You can also define variable like this.
Okay, sir.
Sorry, what?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. So how to define the constant? Constant is the keyword to define the constant. Okay. So for variables, we use data, but for constants, we use constant. Constant, we should follow some naming convention to differentiate between variables and constants. I'll use c underscore empid, so that when I look at this constant name, I can easily understand, okay, this is a constant because it is starting with the c underscore, okay, or you can use any name if you want, but as per naming conventions, you should follow some rules. Type, what is the type of this one? Employee ID type c, and length you can specify here 10, and there is one mandatory addition here, that is value. You should assign the value here itself when you are defining the constant itself. Value, you should assign some value, emp 100. When you are defining the constant, you should assign the value also. That is mandatory. Okay. Whatever the value you assigned for the constant, can you change it later during the program runtime?
No, sir.
No, we cannot change it, right? we cannot
No,
change
sir.
this value. It is always same. But the
Throughout the program.
variable
It
value
can
can be
change.
changed. Okay, but constant value we cannot change. I'll quickly show you the other data types, other data objects, even though we are not going to use now in the basic programming. That is work area. So what is work area or EA, work area? What is work area? Work area
Use it.
is used to store a single record. Single record. Please observe this. Single value, single record. What is a record? Record is nothing but a collection of fields, collection of values.
Yes, sir.
For example, empid, ename,
Employee name, employee phone number,
maybe phone. So what is this? This is a record. We call it as a record. Record nothing but like it's with some meaningful information. It is with some meaningful information.
set
Okay?
of multiple fields.
Yeah, set of multiple fields. You're right. Yes. So this is called record. Record might contain one field, maybe more than one field. Okay. So record may not say this work area record may not always contain multiple fields. Okay. Sometimes we have only single field also.
Okay.
Okay. So this is called work area, which we can store a record in the program runtime. When the work area will be active,
When it wants to store the multiple records.
only during the
Or
program runtime.
okay.
Work area is also active only during a program runtime. Okay, but it can instead of in variable we can store only single value. But here in work area we can
Multiple.
store a record, not multiple fields,
Okay, story
not
record.
multiple fields. A record which contains multiple fields.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, a record is collection of fields, a meaningful information. How to define a work area?
Use it to store single records.
Record
Uh,
in a program runtime.
yes. How to define a work area? We use data statement to define a work area as well.
Date.
For
Okay.
example, how can you like how can you say that this is a work area when you look at it? I'll use some different naming convention for work area. That is WA underscore data. Okay. So when I look at this data object, I can easily identify, okay, this is not a variable or a constant. It is a work area. I can easily identify it.
Yes, sir.
Type. What is the type I have to take? Can I take C
Employee ID.
or N?
Yes. C.
C. Okay. But if you take C, here we have three different fields, right? Employee ID, employee name, and phone number.
Yes, sir.
Phone number is number type. The remaining
String,
two are
sir.
character types. For which field you are assigning this data type?
String.
No, we don't take data types here.
Character.
We take
Um,
reference of structure,
okay.
structure or table name. Okay, we take reference of the structure or table name. Anyway, I'll explain in detail later when we are working on this. Okay.
Got it, sir.
Yeah. So
Table name in the sense we have a set of
set of
multiple
fields.
fields
Yes, we
which
take
has a
reference of the
name.
table. Yes, we take reference of the table. So it will create a work area with reference to the table, database table, with the same fields and with same data types.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now we'll take one more. We'll see one more data object, that is internal table. So internal table is also a data object. How it is different from variable and work area?
Means like those are a set of single
Huh?
records.
Yes, work
Or
area we can store only single record, right? So internal table is used to store more than more than store one or more record, one or more
more.
records.
Main table and it includes more internal tables.
Yes, table in the sense, what is table? Table can store the data permanently in database, right? That
Yes,
is
sir.
table, that is database table. But what is internal table? Internal table can store the data only during program runtime. Okay, only during program runtime. Once the program execution is completed, this internal table will be inactive. Okay, so when you select data from the database, and where you can store the data in program, when you select multiple records from the database table
Tables.
in internal table. Okay, when you
Okay.
select multiple records from database into our application program, right, from database layer to application layer, so for some time we need to hold those records, right, for calculation purpose.
Yes, sir.
For that calculation, where we are going to store that those records which are selected from database. If we
Internal
have
tables.
multiple records, we are going to store those records in internal table. If we have single record,
Or
Work
work
we can
area.
area.
use work area. Okay, if we select only single record from database, at the time we can use work area. But if we select multiple records from database, at the time
It
we use
can be
internal
stored in
table.
internal.
So it can store at least one record and multiple records, more than one record. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
And
internal table.
also, sir,
Yes.
a small doubt.
Yes.
You said if for work area we have only single record, which
Yes.
is a collection of values or fields. But
Yes.
sometimes we have single field. You informed, right?
Mm.
So what would be the difference? It's like single field also we can use it.
Single field also you can use it, but there is no meaning of using work area at that time if you have only single field.
Okay, sir.
Okay. For example, if your database table contains only single field,
Hmm.
right? Then if you define a work area with reference to the database table, that database table, how many fields you will be having in the work area?
Only one.
One field, right? And
Normally also we can
technically
write.
that is not a variable because you are taking table reference,
Yes, sir.
right?
Got it.
At that time, you don't need a work area. If you need to deal with only single field, you can take field reference.
Normally we can write.
Only instead of taking that complete table reference, you can take that field reference. For
Okay,
example,
sir.
if that field is character 10, you can define one variable with character 10. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So internal table will be like this. It might contain one record or more than one record. Okay. Let's assume these are field names, and we'll maintain the values here. E100. Name 100.
We can give names, sir.
Which name?
Normally, employee name.
Yeah, that was employee name. This is
Okay.
the value. See, these are the technical name of the field. Okay, these are the
Okay.
field names, and these are the values. Okay. Anyway, we are not going to use these fields. Okay, fields is just for your understanding. Values will be maintained like this in the internal table. In work area also, there it's not going to maintain the field names, but the values. Okay. In place of field names, just assume they are values.
Okay.
Some value. Okay. Or I can take create work area here. So it's going to have a record like this in the work area. E100, for example, name of 100. Next, some phone number. So work area record will be like this. Internal table record will be like this. It can store multiple records. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
these are the data objects. So declaration of the data objects are different between variable, work area, and internal table. Internal table declaration is like this. Anyway, these are very basics. I'll give you in detail explanation about internal tables and work areas later. So internal table declaration will be like this. Here also we are going to follow some naming convention. IT underscore some data. So IT means it will indicate that this is an internal table. Type standard
Mm.
table of same or table name. What is difference between work area and internal table declaration? So if you declare without type standard table of, it will consider it as work area. It will consider it as work area. A single record will be created. If you define it like this using type standard table of, then
It
this
is
data objects
internal.
will be created to accept the multiple records. Okay,
Yes, sir.
multiple records with three fields, three columns. Okay, please observe the difference between column and records. Okay, these are columns. How many columns we have in this internal table? How many
Three.
fields? Fields
Columns.
are columns. We have
Three.
three. How many records we have?
Two.
Records.
Two records. Okay.
Two records.
Now let's create a program using different data objects.
SAP PODS.
How to log in into the system? It will automatically populate client and login language. You need to provide the username. This is the username, and you need to provide the password. Password is case sensitive. Tell me the steps to create the program.
To go to the ABAP editor, we need to use the code SC38.
Okay.
Give the program name using the Z or Y as prefix.
So I
Then
provided the
co-
program name.
then
Next,
click on create.
create. If it is a new program, click on create and provide the title. What is the type of the program?
Executable program.
Executable program. Yes. Save. So you have to select the package. If you are working in the project, right, they'll give you your lead or someone will give you a proper package where you need to save. Okay. For now,
Okay.
we'll save it in the
Local
local
object.
Local
object.
object.
If you save it in the local object, what will happen? It is locally available. You cannot transport or you cannot apply this program to test system or production system.
Production system.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, so we'll do one thing. We'll define a character type and display the output. Populate the value and display the output. For example, I'll take employee ID. Data LV underscore EMP ID. This is the variable name. Type C. Length. What is the length you want to assign for employee ID?
20.
Maybe 10 or 20. Take
Oh,
it as 10. Okay. Now we defined a variable that is LV underscore EMP ID with the type character and length 10. In application server memory, a space will be allocated. A space will be allocated for this variable. When it will be allocated?
when we give length.
When you start executing the program.
Okay.
Okay. Now it is not going to allocate any space. When you
Yes.
execute the program at that time, it will create that space. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any value inside it?
No.
No,
No
This
value
empty
is there.
space will be created. How to populate the value to the variable?
By assigning the
LV underscore EMP ID
is equal
equal to,
to
for example, EMP 100. For character type data, you have to enclose in single quotes. Please observe. Okay. For
okay,
character
sir.
type data, you have to enclose with single quotes. How to display this variable output? How to display
Right,
the data what is available in variable?
right.
Right? LV underscore
LV
EMP ID.
underscore EMPD.
Now, whatever the value available in this variable will be displayed. Do we need to use single quotes for this variable?
No, no.
For this, how to print this test data?
Single
Yeah,
quote
we have
will
to use
be
single
given.
quotes. We have to use single quotes because it's not a variable, right? It's a text, like hard coded text. For this, we have to use single quotes. For variables, constants, don't use single quotes.
Single quotes.
Okay. Activate, check the program, save the program, and activate the program.
I selecting the demo.
Execute. So this is the output what we have displayed. This value is available in this variable. Now observe. What is the statement clear?
Clear. To
Clear is
delete
used to clear the value in variable. Whatever the value was available in variable, it will be cleared. Now
EMP or EMP ID, sir.
what is it?
For clear statement, we need
Sorry.
to write
Yeah, yeah.
employee
Variable name.
ID.
Variable name. Yeah. Whatever the variable name it is, we have to use. Now tell me what is the output?
EMP 200.
Sorry, which one? EMP?
EMP 200
Yes.
output.
The
Yes,
output will
because
be
we have
EMP
cleared.
200 because we have cleared this value. Okay.
Yes, this value is clear.
Now let's define one more variable. Data. LV underscore phone. Type.
Type
What is the type you have to take for phone
and
number? N.
number
Length 10.
10. LV phone
For example, let me add it to the right statement to display the
data.
output. How to add it to the right statement?
LV
Comma. Phone number.
With the chain operator.
with chain operator. This is the chain operator. If you want to pass the multiple values, you have to use a
Chain
chain
operator
operator.
column.
Yes, I'll assign some color for this. Did I provide any value for this phone number?
No, not provided, sir.
Not provided, right? Let me execute it.
Okay.
What it is displaying?
Zeros
Zeros. Because there is no value, it is displaying
provided.
zeros, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me pass LV underscore phone equal to
1, 2, 3, 4,
LV
5.
underscore EMP ID. Let's see
Okay.
how it will work. What I am doing here, I'm passing character type data to phone number,
Number.
right? What is the
Yes, sir.
value we have in LV underscore EMP ID in line after line number 12? What is the value it contains?
LV EMP ID.
What is the value it will be available in LV EMP ID?
EMP
200.
200.
200.
EMP 200 because we are populating in line number 12, right? 200.
Taking time.
It's taking time. Looks like there is some load on the server.
Mm.
Can you tell me what is the expected output?
Only EMP
Invalid, sir.
200.
200 and EMP 200 in colored format.
Only numbers
Okay.
means no characters were allowed, no, sir.
Yeah, tell me what is the expected output?
100.
EMP 200, EMP 200 with color.
EMP 200 and EMP 200 with color.
With color. Yes. EMP 200 and 200.
EMP
My
200 and
expectation.
200.
Yes,
Ah,
sir.
yes, yes, sir. EMP 200 and 200.
While comparing,
0. Okay.
EMP 200
because
and 200.
character is not accepted in
Because
that numbers
characters
form.
will be ignored, right, for number type, right?
Oh, yes.
That's why it is displaying only 200 and it is ignoring EMP.
MP.
Okay. For
Yes,
phone
sir.
number, to pass the phone number, some value. You can pass it like this. You don't need to use single quotes for number type. Okay.
Okay, sir. It will give output as EMP 200 and phone number in a color.
Yes.
Sir, if before statement, if we gave it before the clear line, what output it will display, sir? It will take the first EMP value, sir. Will it take the first EMP value?
What is your question again? Could you please repeat?
In the before statement, we assigned
Value.
this EMP value to the LV phone now, sir.
Right.
If we gave statement before the clear statement,
Okay.
then what output it will display, sir?
Are we clearing phone number?
Yeah, no.
No, right? We are not clearing the phone number. So there is no effect on the LV underscore phone. It's not
Okay,
going to
sir.
clear any data from LV underscore phone. If you want to clear, write clear statement for LV underscore phone also.
Okay, sir.
If we give clear statement below the main statement, only that particular statement will be cleared, right, sir?
Yes, whatever the variable you want to clear, you need to write clear for that variable.
Okay, sir.
If there is any value, that will be cleared. Right? Do we need to provide data statement for every new variable declaration like this? No. You can use chain
No.
operator here. And you don't need to use data for every line. And use comma.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you can keep on declaring variables like this. For example, if you need to declare one more variable, for example, LV underscore
Address.
value
Okay. Value.
type I.
Mm.
Maybe I'll take value 1 type I, comma, LV underscore value 2 type I, and I'll take one more variable, LV underscore
T.
maybe amount type I. Okay. Now I have defined three different variables. Now let me apply some calculation on it. How to do calculations or arithmetic operations, right? LV underscore value 1 equal to, for example, 10. I'm assigning the values here. LV underscore value 2 equal to 20. Now I wanted to combine, I wanted to sum both the values and provide the output to amount. How to do that? To
LV
calculate,
Amount equal
LV,
to amount equal to LV value 1 plus LV value 2.
yes,
Yeah.
LV amount equal to LV
LV
value
value.
1
Value
plus
1
LV
plus.
value 2. You can apply any arithmetic operation like that. Okay. Now display the output, comma. If you want to display this amount in the new line, what you need to do?
Slash.
Slash, use slash. And I'll total, or I'll use amount as a text, comma, like this. Check the syntax.
Common.
What is the expected output?
EMP 200 and phone number in color, and the amount would be 30.
Amount is
Next line.
amount colon amount.
Amount colon 30.
Yes.
30.
Let's execute.
Mm. Okay, sir.
So this is the output. If you want to multiply, use star, shift 8.
Then amount would be 200. Rest all would be same.
Yes. So you can apply any arithmetic operation here. Minus, okay, divide.
Do it minus, sir.
If we do with minus, we'll get minus 10, right, sir?
Yes. Okay. Let's try with minus then.
Minus. Ten minus.
Minus 10. Okay. So what is the expected value? Now value 1 is 7, value 2 is 3, and I am dividing this.
6 point something. 6.3.
Mm. 2 point,
Sorry.
three,
2.2.
2.3 something. 7 by 3.
Only 2.
2.3.
It will accept only 2.
Yes, sir.
2, sir.
So 2.3 is the value. Let's see what is the output. We'll
2.
round it to 2. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I'll try 5.
1.
1. No, 2 will get.
1.
Round to 1.
1.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, LV, for LV value 1, we assigned some value, no, sir.
Yes.
How much value? Up to how